Awesome. Hi. I want to just share who we are before we get to this conversation. I'm Nicole Anthony Townsend. I'm the president of AQE Solutions, which is a management consulting firm supporting GovCon, small and mid-tier GovCon contractors, and helping them to strategize and grow their company in the government space. I'm joined today by our strategic partner, Sean Doherty from GovDash. I'll let him talk about himself a little bit.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for having me as always. But yeah, my name's Sean Doherty. I'm one of the co-founders here at GovDash. GovDash is an AI platform built specifically for government contracting companies to help them with business development. So it helps with identifying opportunities, actually responding to solicitations, producing your proposal, and really managing the majority of the BD lifecycle. So happy to be here.
That's awesome. Well, I can't imagine how overwhelming it might feel to be at the Congressional Black Caucus. Is this your first one?
It is, yeah. It's an amazing event.
Have you been to an event that there's 10,000 people all trying to make sure that they're kind of keyed into public policy and how it can make a difference?
No, I've never been to an event like this. I was quite shocked when I walked in. I didn't realize it was going to be this big.
Yeah, they take over the convention center. Well, I'm really, really glad that you're here because I think what a lot of people miss in trying to be entrepreneurial is the back office work that takes place to make it happen. You know, a lot of us are here shaking hands and meeting people, but a lot of the hard work is happening back at the office to make sure these businesses are sustainable and can grow.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm excited about GovDash. Really, it has been a godsend for the customers that we serve, but I thought it would be great to learn from you. You've had a chance you've been serving customers for a while now, and you're doing innovative things. One, I would love to know what made you guys, you and your partner, think about supporting this community of users.
Yeah, so like many of your customers, right, are the companies that we work with. My family's from a town called Braintree. It's right outside of Boston, Massachusetts. And surprising place for this to be the case, but a whole bunch of our family friends are actually federal contractors. And so we had over the years heard from, in particular, one of my family friends about how difficult it was to manage the back office, to manage their business development process, and how much money and time went towards that process, rather than focusing on their actual service and making that better. And then also it was really challenging for them because if they didn't end up securing contracts that they needed, they weren't able to pay their staff. And so my co-founders and I, we've been building with the underlying technology, these large language models that unlock a lot of what we do in our product today for a while. And when we realized that we might be able to use that technology to be helpful to my family friend, we went to them and we built them admittedly like super crude version. It was not great, but they actually surprisingly got a lot of value out of it. And so from there, we continued to develop out the application and brought it out to the market. And we're fortunate enough to meet people like yourself and really roll this thing out. And we've been fortunate to grow really quickly as well. But that's how it all started.
Wow, that's amazing. That's something, just a conversation over dinner with family. Hey, this is a pain point, and you guys took it to the next level. That's ingenuity. That you're like, you can make it happen.
Well, as you know, it's such a intense pain point that they kind of like shook us and we're like, please.
It wasn't just, hey, I'm having a hard time. It's like, if you can make this happen, we'd love you.
Yeah, they're like, engineers, see if you can do something here. And so far it's been working out pretty well.
No, that's awesome. So you move from jumping out there into this space. How did you get people unafraid of dealing with this new technology? Because AI is a little scary for everybody.
It is. So we had the first companies that we started to work with, they really had no choice. Like for them, it wasn't a matter of, like we're a little bit nervous about AI. Like maybe we'll think about this in a few months. It was, we literally will not be able to get the bids out that we need to submit in order to win the contracts that we're kind of used to winning to continue to float our business.
Right.
And so they needed support and they needed it yesterday. And so the first companies we worked with, they just had that burning need, and they were not afraid of using AI. A lot of things you hear about AI is it's going to become so advanced that it'll take all of our jobs, right? Or
Right.
could it be really dangerous if it was hooked up to something like the internet? And I think that because they had such a burning need, they were able to kind of look past that at first, and then once they started to use the system, they realized that it is much more of a system for augmenting what they already do,
Mhm.
rather than this scary thing that is going to replace them.
Okay.
And so, as you know, like when you use our system today, it's designed to automate most of the really tedious workflows, but it also is going to go to you as the user, to ask for your expertise, to ask for your approval at each individual step. And there's so much nuance when it comes to winning government contracts.
Oh,
As you
gosh.
know, you're the expert here, that it never really will be like you just set some software solution at it, right? Something like GovDash should make it incredibly easy for you to explain what's in your head and how you're going to approach something, what your solution will be. But it never will fully replace them. And so I think when getting back to your question, when people realize that, hey, this is something that, wow, it's saving us like 90% of our time, but it's not replacing me. It's actually just allowing me to work on these really high value things, like talking to someone at the agency and getting more capture information and making our solution more compelling. It ended up being something they weren't afraid of.
So that's awesome. I know that the people that work with AQE see the value in it not being something that's out there on the highway. It's this secure environment where it's learning using using really successful proposals and resources that they have. How did you come up with that? How did you guys think about that?
Yeah, so the way that we build product is it's like bare metal building with our customers always. And like you've been an amazing partner in all of this, because you've really seen, and we still have a lot to do, but you've seen the evolution of the system. And it's like night and day from when we first started. The way that we designed this, though, getting back to the point of bare metal building, is we sit down with our customers frequently, figure out what's important to them, and then work to implement exactly what they say almost. And so something that's really important to your point around, like, this isn't just something that goes out there and then you'd be worried about their data and security.
Yes.
We've built this to be an incredibly secure application. So we have access to both Azure GovCloud and AWS GovCloud, and those both have FedRAMP ATOs. Everything you'd expect, your data is encrypted in transit and at rest. Every company has their own private namespace, which is logically isolated from other companies. So there's no like sharing of data across customers. And another really important thing is, I think a lot of people, when they think of AI and applications that have AI within them, they think, oh, it's like this unified system that is going to take everybody's data,
Yes.
and then use that to benefit others.
Yes.
And then we intentionally made the decision, though, from the beginning, not to do that. So all optimizations are made on an individual account basis, as you said before. And what you see is you can actually get the system to optimize for an individual company. It does a really good job. It doesn't need to have this massive like shared training set.
Okay.
And so that's how we built GovDash.
So it's always learning. As you're putting things in, it's learning. How's it learning? If I'm not putting it in, is it learning from some other places?
So there's a mixture of things. When it comes to your information and the way you take action in the application. So, like, for example, one of the things you can do in GovDash is it will recommend opportunities. And if you go to GovDash, we call it Bid Match, and you find an opportunity that you like, and then you add it to your pipeline to start running capture on it, that data will be logged just within your account.
Okay.
And so it actually understands, like, this is something that the system can update itself to be like, oh, this is an opportunity that maybe things like this we should weight a little bit more heavily when we're making recommendations. So that's one example of how the system is always optimizing itself.
Got it.
That being said, we also do pull in information from other areas, and these are areas, these are sources that we audit and verify. It's like one being performance.gov,
Okay.
which has tons of information about agencies and their objectives, right? And,
Yeah.
and the information there doesn't update too frequently, but we scan every day to make sure if there is something new that we catch it. And the way that works is it's really helpful with our capture system. But then also, even when writing proposals, when it makes sense, the system can like subtly reference like an objective of whatever agency we're responding to.
That's
If
awesome.
we're writing to similar task areas, or if we have information that's kind of relevant to what they were hoping for that year. And so that's how there's a kind of a hybrid approach from primarily using the company's information to put their best foot forward and tailoring that around the specifics of the opportunity that they're going after. Then also using trusted, verified sources like a performance.gov to make their content more compelling and show that they've done their homework.
That's awesome. I know that the pain points that from our clients that have been eliminated is the tedious effort of going and finding old proposals that you wrote something about this before and cutting it out and putting it into another document. That has made a huge, it's their own information, but it takes hours to go through those proposals. And then they don't have time, as you said, to reinvent or to tweak and make better some of those solutions that they once used. And you do it with speed.
Yeah. In many cases, like you said, in many cases, companies have already done the work, or they've done something very similar that we could then take those task area, take the work that they did for a specific opportunity and kind of adapt it around the new task areas that they may need to meet. We've talked about this before, but really big companies, they have just like systems built over decades that help them find information, but then also they have massive teams of people that it will probably go through a dozen people every time they need to find a specific area of a document, right? And that thing's going to be checked multiple times before it even gets to the point of putting it in a proposal. And small businesses just do not have the luxury of operating like that. There aren't as many great tools for even just organizing the information up front, and then you just don't have the time because you have 100 other things you have to do that day to like track down what you need.
Yes,
payroll,
talk to your customer, taxes.
all these things, right? And at a big company, they would have divisions for those things. And so with GovDash and also the work that you do, I think it's very helpful for smaller businesses, businesses with various set-asides to get to the same quality level, like that high caliber document, by using a system like this, because it will source that information for you automatically and not just kind of pull in static text like maybe old school content management systems would, but pull it in and then adapt it around the specifics of the current opportunity. So I think that does save people a lot of time, like you said.
Yeah, but I think you touched on something even more important. It levels the playing field for small and mid-sized businesses that to compete with those big boys, because they don't have the bandwidth or the capital, quite frankly, to invest in a whole BD team. They hire organizations like AQE, but we consider ourselves strategists, and we are with you to get you to a place where you can hire staff and to build up your business development team. But important for us is we want to leave you with a resource like GovDash so that it's the foundation of your business development team. So it's been amazing for our clients. Have you seen, what's one of your success stories that GovDash is really proud of?
Yes, we just rolled out a new website. Our website's govdash.com, shameless plug. But if you check that out, you'll see a whole bunch of testimonials on there, which with a bunch of success stories. A couple we hear really exciting things all the time. Like when we were asking people, like, hey, do you want to provide a testimonial? Like things that we hadn't even heard, like their first submission using GovDash actually resulted in a contract win.
Yes.
And it was something that they saved like 75% of their time on. It would usually take them like that much longer to submit something, and they were pretty confident that extra time that they got back allowed them to increase the quality level that much more, because they had that extra time to focus. They had the tools and the Word Assistant, which is our product within Microsoft Word, to make it even better. And so it actually resulted in a win. We see other situations where this is a product that we rolled in after our proposal product, which we started with, but for like opportunity identification, them finding opportunities that were also posted to SAM, but for whatever reason, like they just could not find for SAM, but really made sense for them as a business to pursue, that they then actually decided to go for, and they put their bids out, and they think like it might be something that they end up winning. So those are a few examples of how people find a lot of success on GovDash. What's really interesting so far is that we work with some smaller businesses And then we also work with some larger, like Alaska Native companies as
Oh,
well.
wow.
And the really interesting thing for us has been to see that the workflows for those companies are actually kind of the same. Like it's similar
Really?
all the way up. The only difference is these bigger companies just have way more money and way more people. And so the workflow doesn't actually get that much easier the bigger you get. So you have to do the same things, right? You still need to like shred the documents to get a compliance check.
Yeah.
Someone has to do that. And you still need to figure out like how are we going to position ourselves in the best way. And so it's been really interesting to see how both groups, both ends of the spectrum in terms of size, can use the system. But it's much more powerful even for the smaller companies because they don't have those extra dollars or bodies to throw at it.
No, that's wonderful. So what's next for GovDash? What's something that we can expect on the horizon?
Yeah, so you've been privy to this, like you know exactly what we're doing, and the way that we approach product at GovDash is the idea is for like especially for a small business, this should be the operating system. If you go for government contracts, like this should be the operating system, which really helps you run most of your business. And so what that means is we started with the business development side, and we're going to be focused there for a while, but we started specifically with helping with proposal development. We've then spread out very quickly to adjacent workflows. So the Capture Cloud, so opportunity identification, actually running Capture and running research. Obviously the Proposal Cloud, which we started with. The Contract Management Cloud, which right now does a pretty nice job of organizing their contract records automatically, and we have a whole lot of exciting things coming there. And then downstream of that, we plan on rolling out a whole bunch of other products that are very helpful when you're actually managing an active contract, right? Like all the documentation, like a monthly status report that you would need to generate then. We just rolled out a reporting center, but advanced analytics on your financial data when it comes to your awards, right? To help you understand like what is our business actually going to look like this year and where can we apply resources, or which contracts do we end up making like at the end of the day are most profitable for us.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so those things that continue to help you become more strategic as a small business, because that's like the luxury that small businesses typically don't have. That's really what we're focused on. And then eventually we want to earn the right to be able to build what we call our operation cloud, which going from the Capture Cloud, the Proposal Cloud, Contract Cloud, to then the Operation Cloud, that will be where the thing actually becomes very helpful in terms of taking action on the contracts and fulfilling them themselves, right?
Wow.
So could it help with staffing and making connections to teaming partners? Can it help with spend management on these contracts, right? And so to be clear, we're very focused on business development, and that's like where we operate. But as you said, like these back office functions, they're super challenging, and we have been surprised that no one's ever really taken the position of like, hey, should we just go really, really deep for government contractors? Usually what you see is a company comes in, they use GovCon as a wedge.
Yes.
They'll build like a content management system or like even a shredding tool, which should be kind of like GovCon specific. And then they'll get a few customers and they'll kind of get scared, like, oh, is the market like small? Like it's hard. It's a lot of people don't even adopt software. They're just using Excel, and they flee into other verticals. And so they become a point solution that serves a whole bunch of different areas, which is okay.
Right.
But we think there's actually a very special opportunity to go incredibly deep for the GovCon space. Build all these things into one system, and one, it'll just be a really compelling product, but I think it could result in a healthy company too.
I can see a very bright future, and with GovDash as a foundation for a company's growth and sustainability, because if you don't operate your contracts in a judicious manner to get those CPARs that you're hoping for, there's GovDash won't help you.
Yeah, at that point, it's you got to fulfill the thing. You got
to do what you say you're going to do.
Yeah, that's true.
This conversation, I feel like there's so much more that we can talk about. Tomorrow, I understand you're going to be on a panel with other AI experts.
Yeah, the panel's at 1 p.m. We're going to be talking about government contracting a little bit and what GovDash does, but really the focus is on how AI can be helpful to small businesses generally, right? Like there are tons of products and even outside of products, just like things that you can do with these language models out there today to be helpful across your entire business. Like we use them at our business as well. We'll be talking about that, how to think about the future of augmenting your team with with this technology. And then hopefully, if there's anyone in the GovCon space out there too, we'll be talking a little bit about how GovDash works. But yeah, really looking forward to that too.
That's awesome. I know that we're going to have some public policy folks on the panel to talk about what are the guardrails, because as you said, it's a scary world for people who don't know. So it's going to be nice to hear from the policymakers to the people that are like you in practice. And then where's in the middle? How are we educating ourselves to get ready for this? Because this is a whole new economy for businesses like ours. As much as I use GovCloud for the GovDash for our customers, I feel like not as deep as I'd like to be.
Yeah.
In the AI. So.
Yeah, we're the same way too. It's weird. In some areas, it's sort of advanced, and in some areas, it's like I'm still not using it as much as I thought I would.
Right.
And I think it's that point in time where it's like kind of the hype dies down a little bit, and then there's that like silent period. But during the quiet period, there's usually that inflection point. And I think that like a year from now, maybe 6 months from now, like, things will be quite different actually. But yeah, I think it'll be exciting to talk about all of that on that panel.
Awesome. Well, I will be there, and I hope everybody else will be there. Thank you for spending time with me. I'm hooked to your hip as we watch GovDash grow. But if anyone is looking to have support in growing their GovCon business, AQE Solutions is here to help.
They're the best. Check out AQEsolutions.com.
So see you tomorrow.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you.